This material is intended for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hey there, fellow adventurers and lovers of the fantastical. Welcome back to Tipsy Geeks Unite, the podcast where we blend our passion for all things nerdy with a dash of spirited fun. I'm Tabby Cat.
And I'm Miss Kate. And together, we're here to ignite your imagination and quench your thirst for geeky goodness. Whether you're a seasoned wizard in the realm of gaming, a connoisseur of animated epics, or just someone who loves a good story, you're in for a treat.
So, grab your tankard of mead or your potion of choice and join us as we journey through the enchanted lands of video games, streaming sagas, and the vibrant tapestries of anime. We're diving deep into the realms of adult fandom.
From epic boss battles to the intricate plots of our favorite shows, we're here to dissect, discuss, and maybe disagree a little. But hey, that's all part of the adventure, right?
So gear up, summon your courage, and let's embark on another thrilling episode of Tipsy Geeks Unite.
Raise your goblets to the heroes and heroines of our stories. And remember, the real magic happens when you embrace your inner geek.
All right, folks, what quest shall we embark on today?
All right, Tabby, we're back, and neither of us are sick.
Yeah,
and we're
finally.
talking about something that you and I are actually very excited, mostly you, because you are a huge fan. We're talking about Dungeon Meshi, or to myself, Delicious Dungeon, which is an anime that I watched on Netflix recently. But before we dive into Delicious Dungeon, aka Dungeon Meshi, what are you drinking?
So I was going to make my own drink that viewers on my stream it called Tabby Juice, which is like iced green tea, vodka, honey, and lemon, which I'm sure is like some other drink cocktail. But then I was like, after we record, I'm going to stream. And when I stream and it's fucking hot, I like my Indeed Mexican honey Imperial Lager. So I went with my Imperial Lager today, just in case.
Listen, this brewery needs to sponsor you. The amount of times that you have talked about this lager, we need a sponsorship. You hear me? Spread the word.
You guys go to or just call Indeed or email them and tell them Tabby Cat says that they should branch out their brewery services.
Exactly. I will try it one day. Hopefully.
Yes, you'll visit and you'll try it.
Yeah, definitely. You keep talking about it. Now I need to know why you're so addicted to it.
I am addicted.
I think it's like every other weekend you either have that or an espresso martini.
Yeah, it's just so hot here. It's that an ice cold beer, like your favorite ice cold beer, it just hits so good when it's hot out.
One of these days I'll try it. I haven't now that I'm not sick, I'm drinking a little bit more, but I haven't gone to refill the liquor locker yet. I need some more soju because I have some interesting combinations I want to try, and they're not from online, they're just in my head. I'm like, that might be good. Probably isn't good, but here we are. I make a lot of poor choices. So
like, even my roommate, who isn't a vodka drinker, just bought a whole bottle of vodka because vodka drinks are very good for summertime. They're in a lot of those refreshing light cocktails. So I would say make something with vodka.
True, or gin.
Yeah, gin too.
I need more gin. Gin's one of my favorite things to drink. I put it in almost anything. Almost anything. I need to break away from wine and whiskey. That's what I've been drinking a lot of lately. So
yeah, last week on stream it was boiling hot and I had a Cabernet.
Oh boy.
It's like this is the worst thing to drink in the heat.
That's not refreshing at all.
It was not.
Fuck it though. Cabernets are good.
Yeah, I was like, I'm craving it. It's not gonna taste very good, but whatever.
I was craving mulled wine the other day, and I'm like, "What are you thinking, Caitlin?
Yeah, wrong
It's
season.
what are you doing?" And I'm like, "But a mulled wine, a glass of mulled wine would be so good." And I'm like, "Jesus Christ!"
And what are you having, Kate?
I made another concoction. I mixed Japanese whiskey with this dragon fruit guava juice. I can say right now,
Mm.
it's definitely not the best choice, but it is drinkable.
Oh, okay. We like it to at least be drinkable. But
Oh yeah, yeah. I
you
just
getting
took
the shiver?
I just took a swig of it, and it's different. That's the best I can
Maybe,
say. It's
maybe
different.
not very drinkable.
But the juice is cold. I actually didn't overdo it with the whiskey this time. I put a hint of whiskey in it. So it has like the aftertaste of whiskey, but the sweetness of the dragon fruit and guava. Probably
Water it
tastes
down
better
with
with
ice.
it probably tastes better with vodka gin or a nice sparkling wine.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, sparkling wine would be good.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
prosecco or something.
Yeah. But here we are. The whiskey's right next to me, and I don't have to get up. So
Oh, I haven't had prosecco all year. I'm gonna have to
I
change
drank so much prosecco when I was in England that I'm.
that.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, they don't. You don't in England. They don't have champagne. It's all prosecco because
Really?
they can't. So this is what was told to me. Whether or not it's fucking true or not, beyond me. Okay, I asked, "Do you guys have champagne here?" Where they're like, "We're not allowed because champagne's from like France, so we call it prosecco." And I was like, "Okay."
Mm-hmm.
They're like, "It's the same thing," and I'm like, "Sure. What do I know?" So that's what I was told when I lived in England. If it's true or not, like I said, I was just there enjoying my time. It's fine with me. So
I can't say I know much about the differences.
neither. I mean, they're both bubbly drinks. It's That's all I can say. But let's dive in to Delicious Dungeon Meshi, because you have been so excited for it. Talked
Yes,
about it.
I've been swept away by Dungeon Meshi ever since like my roommate and I made her watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood with me for her first time because it's my favorite anime of all time. And then immediately after that, they said we should watch Delicious in Dungeon. And I was like, oh yeah, I've seen a lot of buzz about it on my Twitter feed and on social media. And I was like, I'm really, surprisingly, I'm not usually interested in starting new animes.
Mm.
But I was very intrigued about what I saw from just social media. And I'm so glad I took the gamble and started watching it with them. And we both love it so much. The first season of the anime has been fantastic. And what did you think about it? What was your first takeaway?
I saw it on Netflix, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And I love food, and I love food anime, minus Food Wars. Don't at me. Hot take. Um, and it was on my queue, and my sister. I had gone to my sister's house, and she was like, "I want to watch this too." And so we sat down and we started the first couple episodes. And at first, I was like, "This is kind of boring," and she's like, "Same." And
What?
then I I came, it was like a week later. I picked it up again and I started from the beginning. I was like, all right, let me just restart this. Maybe I was just in the wrong setting, because when my sister and I try to watch TV, but we end up just talking. Um so
Oh.
so I started watching it, and again, the first couple episodes were they were slow. I will say that they were a little like whatever. But it wasn't until I want to say the fourth or fifth episode where I started getting into it. And so I caught up to when it was like I caught up to all the episodes that were out, and then I would watch it week by week. And I think I wouldn't say it's my favorite anime, but it was a nice slice of life anime. It was a nice break from the depressing shit I usually watch. I thought it was really fun. I have some hot takes for you about it that we'll discuss later, but it was a lot of fun because I don't know if you ever watched the anime Food Restaurant from Another World.
No, I haven't.
You might like that one. It's actually it's really fun. I wouldn't say it's the same premise. It's about different people from different backgrounds, different realms that once a week get to go to this restaurant from another world, and they try these different foods, and you see the relationships that they build. But it's I wouldn't say it's D&D, but it does have interesting characters. But I absolutely love Restaurant from Another World. I've watched it 3 or 4 times because it's just very wholesome. It's very simple. The food makes me very hungry. So when I watched Alyssa's Dungeon, I was very intrigued at the aspect, and I love anything D&D, things like that. So, and I didn't anticipate it to have an actual story, so that was interesting. But I actually enjoyed it. I think it was it was a nice take on an form of an anime story. I'm used to watching really fucked up shit, so it was a nice break from my cold violent stuff.
Well, yes, it's I would say Dungeon Meshi is dark, and does have a dark story underneath, or dark undertones.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
at the
yeah.
beginning, the beginning is slow. I will give that. And if you don't know Dungeon Meshi, I'll give the plot summary is a group of travelers are dungeon exploring. There's a dungeon on an island that travelers go to and try to find wealth and fame by going down into the dungeon. And if you're able to defeat the creator of the dungeon, then you are able to basically rule over the entire island. So we have a group of adventurers that is the leader is Laios. There's Fallon, Marcel, Chilchuck, and Shuro and Namari in one group, all different. It kind of goes by the D&D. It's very D&D inspired, but they do have like their classes like the knight, the sorcerer, the cleric and stuff. Um, but on their first fight with that you're seeing at the very beginning of episode 1, the the party is fighting a red dragon. They're all incredibly hungry and they're not fighting at their best strength because they've been in this dungeon for multiple days. They lost a lot of their supplies. They had hiccups along the way. And basically, because of Laios's hunger, he's not at his best game, and he makes an accident, and his sister Fallon, who's the cleric, pushes him out of the way and gets eaten by the red dragon instead of him. And they're thanks to Fallon, they are able to teleport out of the dungeon, and basically Laios, her brother, wants to immediately go back in, try to rescue her, because in the dungeon you can be resurrected, and if she's still being digested by the dragon, he wants to go in there right away to try and recover her and get her resurrected as soon as possible. But they need rations. Some of their crew have like already left for other parties, and they have no money. Their supplies is low, so there's only 3 of their adventurers from that original party going back in with Laios, or actually, Laios, Chilchuck, and Marcel go back.
Mm-hmm.
They find a dwarf inside the first floor of the dungeon named Senshi, who tells them about how instead of buying food on the outside, they can basically, I was going to say harvest, but that's not the right word. They can use the monsters of the dungeon in order to use the resources from the dungeon and the monsters in order to feed themselves, and that will save them money in time in going back to try to save his sister Fallon.
Yep. Pretty accurate. Pretty accurate plot summary. Yep.
Yes, and at first, very, very like delicious in dungeon. It's very food centric at first, but obviously, as the story goes, then the plot gets deeper and the stakes grow higher.
Yeah, I think the pivotal change for me in the story was when uh Marcel they get to the red dragon and you learn, they're
Oh
like,
yeah,
and they're trying to formulate a plan to defeat the red dragon, and then they're going through they killed the red dragon, they're going through its guts, and they only find the bones. Well, they find several different types of species, but they're trying to find the bones of, what's her name,
Fallon.
Fallon. And then you
Yes.
learn that Marcel practiced dark arts and like resurrects her, and then Fallon ends up turning into a fucking beast, and then like the party that they were originally in shows up, and they're like, "Oh, this guy was gonna marry her," and like all this shit. And that's when I was just sat there and I was like, "Okay, we went from wholesome to kind of dark." But I did jump ahead, but that's when it got dark for me. And also, I think it was the episode where they're near the water and there's like the
What, the
mermen.
Undine? Oh, the mermen and
And
the mermaids and the
yeah,
Kraken.
and you see a different party where the leader has
Kabru.
yeah, has a different group with him, and they end up getting knocked out. And
Yes, I loved when at first there was two misconceptions like
mhm,
with the treasure insects and they're like Laios and his party is robbed from us and then they're like taken out again by the mermen
mhm,
in the water area
mhm.
and they're like, "Oh my God, they stole our barley." I was like, oh my God, Laios's group cannot catch a break because these
No.
fuckers are just getting wiped out each
Yeah.
time.
And then, there's the episode where Laios goes to save Marcel because she's having a nightmare because there's the nightmare things in her
That
pillow.
was so precious.
You
I
thought that
love
was
that.
okay? I'm just gonna say the hot take right away. I fucking hate Marcel. I hate her.
What?
I was like,
Why?
from the beginning complaining about everything. She just complained about every fucking thing. She was so snobby. And then, I mean, sure, you
You have
see,
just made an enemy from every single Dungeon Meshi fan.
that's fine. I can't stand Marcel. And then I did soften up to her a wee bit when you see that the nightmare episode where you see why. But ultimately, I don't like her. I like Laios and Senshi.
Man, like just everyone in the group is my favorite character, but I do kind of love Marcel a whole lot. And lesbians, like Fallon and Marcel,
I
total
mean,
lesbians.
that's fine, whatever. That's not the part that I was like focusing on. I just hated Marcel's like constant whining and complaining.
So she comes from a higher society background,
Mm-hmm.
and her mother, who is an elf, was also a court sorcerer. So she hasn't had to like resort to eat these kinds of foods.
But
Like it's
since she
definitely
cooked
gross for
everything,
her.
and that shit looked amazing. I mean, there was a couple things where I was like, but the food
Like
that they cooked in there,
slimes, treasure insects, man-eating plants.
like when they ate the mushrooms that looked good, when he made dumplings that looked good, when he made stew that looked good, when they ate like the giant crustacean monster thing that looked great, when they made the dragon meat, I would fuck with that. But and then
That was
when
really cool.
and then when they were fighting, they thought that the living armor. When they figured out what the living armor was, it was like a mollusk, kind of like a scallop. I was like, okay, I'd
Mhm.
eat that.
It's so fascinating. But going back to Marcel, she is whiny at first, but it does get better as the episodes go on. And it's also kind of supposed to be she's supposed to be the stand-in for the general audience and the general sort of belief because everyone else thinks it's gross too, but you don't see the side characters that think it's gross until much later.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. Marcel is the shadow heart for me.
No,
She's
don't compare her to Shark. How dare you?
she's not as bad as Shadowheart, but
Thank you.
not bad, but she was very lackluster to me. I anytime she came on, I would like go do something, or I would just fast forward through some of her parts, just because I was like, oh, this girl, just shut the fuck up. I just want to watch them eat the food, eat the food. Yeah, I like the other three. Lyles is my favorite though, and Sinchi I really enjoyed. I thought that they were just solid characters. I liked what's the rogue's name?
Oh, the lockpick is Chilchuck.
Chilchuck. I liked him a lot. He was very practical. I liked him. He was just very practical and he was I thought he was cute as a button as well. But yeah,
Before you realize how old he is, he's
yeah,
kind of adorable.
yeah. But I really liked him. Yeah, just Marcel was not my favorite. And then you meet the group that they were originally with, like the samurai, like all the ninjas.
Yeah,
and shit.
Shuro and Namari.
Yeah, I actually liked them. Kind of sad
I
that
don't
I liked
like
them to a certain
Shuro.
degree, where it was like they were a nice break from the main characters. It was nice to have a little bit of them. And I
Mhm.
like the add-on of the Neko girl at the end.
Oh, Itsuzumi.
She was
Yeah, she comes in very late.
she's funny. I like her.
Really? Because she's my least favorite.
I mean, I like her better than Marcel.
What? That makes no sense to me. But I
I'm
love
a weird
that
person.
I love that everyone can have different valid opinions about the characters because I think they all have wonderful different personalities.
The
And
personalities were very
reasons.
different, and yeah, and the reasons, and it made them so unique, which I really appreciated. It wasn't this like, I wouldn't say a same formula because I wouldn't know what formula I would compare it to, but they were all unique in their own mind specs, like D&D, and they all came together. They all meshed very well together.
Hmm.
But yeah, the food though, oh, that was a thing. I mainly, that's all I watched was for the food. The story was whatever to me. I was like, oh, this is fine. Just show me the food.
So Ryoko Kui, who's the illustrator and writer and just the creator of Dungeon Meshi, is also a big D&D fan,
Hell
and
yeah.
she grew up watching her dad play what was it? I've had the uh was it?
That's cool though that her dad was into D&D. Hell yeah. Good inspiration. Good childhood development. Teach your kids to
Where
be
did I
nerds.
see it? I have it here somewhere.
As she goes through her list of notes. I also like that I watch a lot of isekai animes, and I do like after being obsessed with Baldur's Gate for so long, I like the D&D stuff for anime because I watch a
Well,
lot of
yeah.
like we got demons and we got curses and then we got fucking demons and curses, and it's like it's fun, but it's nice to just have like, here's some nerdy D&D shit in anime. It was sick. Thank you.
Yeah.
And right when I was like obsessed with my Baldur's Gate, it just was perfect timing.
Um, so she is Ryoko Kui's a fan of Baldur's Gate 1, 2, and 3,
Hell yeah.
Pathfinders, Planescape. Okay, here it is. When she was a child, she would watch her father play Wizardry on the Famicom, which is like D&D as well. and also Dragon Quest, Fire Emblem, and
Fire Emblem.
she cites Wizardry 6, Bane of Cosmic Forge, as one of the primary inspirations for Delicious in Dungeon.
Hmm.
So I don't hear a lot about D&D in Japanese like nerd culture.
Yeah,
So this was very fascinating for me to learn about.
that's
She
actually really
also
cool.
liked reading Neverending Story and Lord of the Rings.
Hell yeah! Fuck
So
yeah!
I think you
Western.
can see in I think you can see in Delicious in Dungeon the Western
Hmm.
fantasy impact on the story and the environment. And also the what really pulled me in just visually is all the different like it's her style of drawing isn't just cookie cutter anime. Everyone looks the same. There's such diverse characters, different heights, different races, skin colors, and ages, even
Hmm.
in all of her characters. And that, like, diversity always sucks me in, like,
Hmm.
visual diversity.
Yeah.
And obviously D&D has a lot of diversity
Hmm.
and high fantasy like D&D.
She really encapsulated it well. She
Yeah.
really did. And, that's, I'm big on art styles for anime. I don't like the CGI looking shit or like the hand drawn kind of stuff. And when I saw the different styles, I was like, okay, this actually is still aesthetically pleasing to my eyes. And
It's
it was,
very it's just a very easy I was like, how do I describe it? It just is very easy on the eyes to me.
yeah, and you can differentiate characters. There's some animes where I'm like, who are you again? I mean, you may have different hair color, but what? What's your name? um,
It's always like one of my biggest gripes is just everybody looking the fucking same in in an anime.
yeah, they have the same hairstyles or the same face shape.
The
Which
same
I mean, you
eyes,
get
mouth.
past it to some degree, but I get it. Sometimes a little something something's nice. And no, the art style was really pretty. And it did feel like a D&D anime. It didn't fail on any aspects of being inspired by D&D, and I really appreciate that because there's a lot of you know shows, not even just anime, but like live action shows or just television in general, cinema, that try to do like inspired things and fail. An example is Rings of Power. Hot take there. Absolute
Ooh.
garbage. Absolute garbage. They tried to take more from Tolkien's universe, and oh my god, I can go on a rant for this for days. But they completely
We really need to do a hot takes episode of
right.
just our thoughts on fiction, like some people have been telling us to do.
Yeah, I just feel like there's now cinema is trying, in anime, adult animation, whatever you name it, even in books and stuff, try to add diversity to their stories and fail miserably. And then there's some that do a really good job. Rings of Power, absolute garbage at trying to add diversity. There's some things that really aren't meant to be changed. The Witcher show tried to add diversity. Really fucked up there. But that's another whole can of worms. But Delicious Dungeon, the diversity, like, I can't fault it for anything. Like Baldur's Gate can't fault it for pretty much anything, just because it was so well thought out and planned and written.
And one thing I love about just the sociology, I guess I don't know if that would be the correct term for just all the races in the show is that, or in the manga in the show, is that everyone has a different opinion on everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I love just delving into like what each race's stereotypes are for other races. And there's many situations that they're
Mm-hmm.
put in where their misconceptions or preconceptions of the other people in their party because of their race is shown
Mm-hmm.
and uh just sort of brought to the forefront. Like they'll meet changelings. It's just oh, and when they meet the um fuck, they have the when they meet like those clones, each one like they all
Mm-hmm.
at one point meet. I think it's a changeling that makes them all into clones, but clones as each of the other people in the party perceives
Mm-hmm.
that person. Like Laios, everyone has a version of Laios that is basically he's super tall, he's an idiot, and he just like has one. He's like fucking drooling on the ground, like one brain cell. And then like when Senshi, like there's a Marcel that's from Senshi's mind that basically thinks that elves are scary and prim and proper and like stuck up and stuff. And
And it'd
oh,
be classic
everyone,
from a dwarf, because dwarf and elves clash all the time. It was just good
yeah,
world building. Like,
it's so much. Can find so many
yeah.
videos on how well they do the world building. Everything is seems natural. And if you go in from a zoological and ecological standpoint, which drew me in, as well as like besides the races, it's it's a small, at least for season one. I don't know anything else after season one so far, including the manga, but you just have this island right now and the dungeon within the island, and you're learning in the small, like basically it's no. Originally, the island was a uh, shit. It was just a regular village where
Mm-hmm.
it was a mining village.
Mm-hmm.
And then the dungeon was revealed, and then everyone from all these different continents wanted to come to this island. So it's basically just a conglomerate of different races and civilizations now coming together to explore this dungeon. And that's why you get so much interaction from these different races from different backgrounds.
And
And
yeah,
yeah,
I love the world building, and I love the different dishes that Sanchi makes. It's not all Asian. Like, sure, you got tempura, you got sushi, you got dumplings. I think at some point they make noodles, but then he makes stew and bread and like
yeah,
things like
shabu
that.
shabu.
Yeah, and so
Uh,
it shows that the different with the different
oh, they make pizza from the
yeah.
dragon, which
Yeah,
they make the dragon. This is like not even, it's like halfway in the season, so it's not really a spoiler, but they turned the dragon into a fucking pizza oven. Such a detail they didn't need to do, but
but
they
they
did, and I
and
love
it's
it.
well done, and it shows that with so many different ethnicities or species coming together and the influences that they have their, on themselves, not just culturally but culinary, is really cool. I like that touch because it just shows how everything, it's world building. It's just such good world building. um
Yeah, and it's not, sometimes they'll give you the like just an explanation to the audience, but it's not all tell and don't show. A lot of it is just little things that you have to like closely pick up on.
mhm.
And then I go to the manga and read up more on it because they can't put all that detail into the anime every time.
Yeah.
Um, but if you read, I highly recommend if you watch the anime, read the manga because the manga will have extra sections that delve more into the lore
Mhm.
of Dungeon Meshi, excuse me. And it's just like I love bonus stuff like that that is just more world building because I can't get enough of it.
It's addicting because you get, I think, as a good writer and someone who is trying to narrate and create a story, you create a universe, and if you're able to create such a universe in such detail, you easily can bring people to be so invested in what you're creating. There's so many shallow stories that are written, and that's fine. Maybe it's a short and sweet, but when you're able to create such a huge world and you add so much background and depth to it, one cannot help but be sucked in. That's my
Yeah.
opinion.
And more examples of that is that um losing my train of thought here. um Oh, yes. So with things like how the magic system in it, even though it's high fantasy, they don't use magic to solve all their problems like some anime will do.
Mm-hmm.
And some anime will take the easy way out on certain things. But here it's because not an unlimited resource, it definitely seems dire a lot of the times when Marcel, their only magic user, has to use like a really big spell, then she depletes her mana and she's a heavy hitter in the party. You're constantly thinking, do they have enough rations to keep going forward? Are they up? Is like Marcel's mana going to be enough? Do we need to rest? And for
Mm-hmm.
how long? And
Mm-hmm.
it's you're always thinking, at least I was always thinking about that and how
Yeah.
they would progress forward. And one like little details like that really world build for me. One that really hit me was that when Marcel, because she's not really a cleric, she's not a healer. When she heals, she is like, she likes to heal fast,
Mm-hmm.
but healing faster will cause the person pain because you're doing it so quickly rather than slowly over time, like Fallon would do it because she's more mastered in healing magic.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that because from a medical background, it makes sense, at least to me, that trying to heal someone really quickly is going to be sloppy and painful for
Yeah.
the person that is being treated.
No,
And
exactly.
I
Yeah.
was like, I love that. And what else? Like trying to fuck, I forgot my other example. Maybe I'll come back to it later.
Yeah, no, exactly. And when you have these big battles, the group, the four of them really played each other's strengths and their weaknesses. Like, okay, maybe this isn't the best thing for Laos. Maybe we should, instead of, going brute force fighter style, try to do sneaky. And I love that Senshi always used his cauldron not just for cooking, but it was like a shield or it was a way to cover up certain species from doing certain attacks. Like it was also a weapon and more than a utility at times. So that was a nice touch that they were able to use the things that they had in their bags to help them
Hmm.
progress as well. Um so I want you to remind me, why the fuck does is so many people in love with Farron? I never was attached.
Fallon?
Fallon. Why are they attached? Like so many people in love with her. I know she was Lyos' sister. I had no personal attachment to her. Like I saw her and I was like, okay, whoever that is, I don't care. Like let's move on. But there was a lot. I
You
noticed.
mean, sorry, go ahead.
I noticed that. Of course, Marcel's in love with her. And what was his name? The guy, the
Oh,
samurai guy, Shuro.
Shiro is ready to propose to her, basically.
I just, to me, that, if I remember right, Fallon, right? Not Farron, Fallon.
Fallon, yeah.
That's the one stereotypical thing I think she was the only hardcore stereotypical anime character to me, because if I remember right, the way Shuro talked about her and like a couple others. I don't remember Marcel because I didn't pay attention to Marcel. The way they talked about her was like she's kind, she's sweet, she's always
Kate.
there, and I'm just like, okay, so she's your stereotypical female that people fall in love with because she's so cute. Okay.
Yeah, well, people would always, I feel like I've gone on some threads where people were wondering, like, what class? Because no one has, like, a dead set D&D class. You kind of just have to see how stereotypical kind of what kind of mold they fit into. And like Chilchug would be like a rogue, even though he's called a lockpick
Mm-hmm.
or in the series. Um, and Marcel would be more like your classic mage. And it seemed like Fallon would be like your more stereotypical cleric. She is the healer. She knows more about like ghosts and holy stuff. Um, she's more of that support
Mm-hmm.
class. And I think being that sweet, kind, generous to a fault character that Fallon is definitely fits into the cleric mold. And
Blech.
it Like,
Boring.
and Kate, yes, Kate thinks that's boring. But when you start the series, you don't know who Fallon is either, except that she just made this incredible sacrifice to save her brother and the party. And of course, Laios being her brother, he immediately wants to go back in and just not think about anything else and just rush back in to get her.
If I saw my sister get eaten, I fucking would not go back. I'd be like, thank you for your sacrifice. I'll remember for you forever. I ain't gonna go back in and resurrect her.
Oh, you'll realize over time in the backstories that Laios and his sister didn't really have a close, like, they didn't have affectionate parents,
Mm-hmm.
and they were the only two siblings. They were children of, like, a small town lord, a small village lord. Um, and they had money, but not exactly a lot of power. But again, they're both kind of people, both fans seem to classify uh, Laios and Fallon as autistic, which isn't like
Hmm.
outright stated. But you can definitely see Laios like having some of those
Yeah.
characteristics where you're not neurotypical. And because what I love is that because I've worked in a vet clinic and I've worked with many people that are not neurotypical, I feel like people obviously that are not neurotypical attract or they not, don't attract. They are attracted to animals
Mm-hmm.
and they like being around animals more. And I could definitely see that from a lot of my coworkers. And he definitely fits the mold of that kind of person that I've
Yeah.
worked with before.
Yeah.
He's he's monster obsessed and he's crazy for monsters and he knows so many random facts and he has this cookbook guide that's basically like
Fucking love
a,
Laos.
not it's basically just like a fan cookbook. It's not like anything that's ever been actually performed. It's just like fan material for what could for like facts and cooking supposed monsters. Um but we were talking about Fallon. Well, at the start, you see her sacrifice, and as you see these backstories, like these tidbits of Laios and Fallon's backstory, you're supposed to care about her more, but some people apparently don't get that.
Fuck no. I don't give a shit about her. I
And
She
even if you
wasn't significant. I mean, sure, she was brought up consistently, but at the same time, like she's so. And this is not a fault of the anime or the writing. She's just to me stereotypical girl who everyone falls for, and I was like, "There's other females here." Like, hello, like.
but Marcel isn't or Namari like isn't like Fallon or Itsuzumi, god. Itsuzumi is the most annoying to me.
She was annoying when I first saw her, but then, as she kind of, her walls break down, I like her. It's like how everyone hated Asterion when you were first introduced to him.
Really?
Oh, God. I
Oh,
remember when the game first came out, there was so much hate towards Asterion. Like,
what?
of course, to Lae'zel as well, but Asterion, because he's a dick. They're like, everyone's like, I mean, I read forums, I read all kinds of stuff. Like, he's a dick. And
He's a
after
hot guy, so I
after
feel like
playing his story X amount of times, I mean, of course, I fell in love with because he's my stereotypical type: white hair, dangerously evil,
a
a
dick.
dick. I like dudes like that.
Kate likes the dick,
I like the dicks.
the
Um,
dickhead.
to me, like when you do the character development, you get to you see that he's a product of his environment, and that's the same thing with Lae'zel. I fucking hated Lae'zel. I mean, and after I watched her story play out, I was like, she's not that bad. Okay, that's fine.
No,
And kind of Shadowheart ish. I'm still not a fan of Shadowheart, but when I saw both perspectives of her becoming a dark Justiciar, and also her, fuck you, Shar, you're a cunt. I was like, okay, okay, it's fine. But Fallon, I was just like, okay, well, I mean, she fits the narrative, but she's just boring. She's just a boring character to me. Maybe in the second
Very well.
season things develop, but I could not get attached to her. I was just like, who's, oh, it's this bitch again. Okay, well, anyways, show me the food.
Well,
So
after they resurrect Fallon and she is imbued with the red dragon, basically, like it's basically mushed together with the red dragon when being resurrected. And of course, because the red dragon is under the control of the mad mage, now Fallon is also under control of the mad mage. So she becomes more relevant after that happens, because then a whole bunch of stuff happens to her. Poor Fallon.
I don't feel fire. I mean,
What?
I don't feel bad. And this,
Hey,
okay, hold on, before you get
do you
upset.
have any feeling?
Hold on. Here's my reasoning for not feeling bad for Fallon. She, and this is some assumptions in it, because again, we don't know what happens in the future. We don't hear a lot from Fallon afterwards, you know, because she's going through all that change and being resurrected. But here's,
She's going through the change.
she's going through some shit. All right. She This is my perspective on it. She sacrificed herself. She got eaten and digested. She was nothing but fucking bones. I feel like she did not anticipate for people to come back and resurrect her ass, for one. Okay? And then she gets resurrected and the fucked up shit happens to her. I don't know if you want me to state it if it's too spoilery, but we've already spoiled a lot. But
yeah, you can spoil it.
She morphs into a fucking monster thing. She kills a bunch of people who, of course, they get resurrected. But and then, you know, she's being controlled by the dungeon master or whatever the fuck, the evil mage. I didn't feel any sympathy because the story trope kind of thing, I won't say it's stereotypical, but I've seen it before, where, you know, people are desperate to bring back their loved ones, no matter the cost, right? No matter, it's a classic story. You lose your lover, you lose your mom, your dad, your fucking sister, your brother, your cousin, whatever the fuck. You want to bring them back because the living have a hard time letting go of the dead. That's a given. And I don't think she had the intention of being brought back. And so for me, there was no attachment to her. I didn't feel sorry for her because it's just they bum rush in to bring her back because they could not let her go. And I feel that she's suffering because they could not let her go. That's where I feel the story is going. So I have no sympathy because it's like,
you don't have sympathy if she's suffering and she didn't want to be brought back. You don't have no sympathy for her.
I've read these types of stories. I read and watch these stories all the fucking time. It's kind of hard to have sympathy. It really is, because in my shoes, if I was put in a situation like that, the closest people, you know, would probably be my sister, maybe my mom, maybe like a very small amount of people. I still would not bring them back, because if I died, would I want to be brought back? No. I made that choice. And this is just this is all personal. Everyone can have their own, you know, fucking 2 cents.
Yes, this is all just our opinions.
And my sister and the people that I'm close to know, like, if you die, you die. I'll mourn you till the end of time. But you die, I ain't bringing you back. There's just, to me, it's like, it turns into an obsession. And that's kind of how I felt it turned into, was a little bit of an obsession of trying to bring her back. Because you see how desperate they get. And especially when she turns into that creature and she kills a bunch of fucking people and then runs off, and they're all like, you know, half of them are like, they accept that isn't Fallon anymore. That's not Fallon.
Well, because they use dark magic to bring her back.
Well,
from
true,
the dead.
yeah. Which, and you know, Marcel and Laios and all of them were like, "No, we can bring her back. We'll handle it." And I'm like, you guys need to practice acceptance. Like, yes, you brought her back, but she's not going to be the same Fallon as she was before. It's like when you go through a breakup or a trauma, you're not the same person from before that happened. And you have to, in my eyes, you need to practice acceptance. And I get everyone grieves differently. It's hard to like move on. But that's my perspective, is I don't have sympathy for her in a sense. I don't really have a lot of sympathy for any of the characters because, one, I've seen this story a million times. But two, it's just like, to me, you reap what you kind of sow. Like, these are the consequences of your actions. Like, sure, it was with good intentions, but what the fuck did you think was going to happen? And I feel like towards the end of season 1, Laios and a couple of them are starting to realize that they're gonna have to make a difficult choice if they can't bring her back, because they, if they beat the fucking dungeon master, can, either way, even if they save her and she's not a creature anymore, she's still not the same Fallon. And that, to me, is what needs to be addressed. And therefore, the sympathy for me is not there. Could it be if the story goes in the direction of like acceptance, like, okay, we realize that we were so hell-bent on bringing her back because we love her so much, but then they realize that, like, shit, she did die, she's not going to be the same Fallon, we're going to have to make these choices, and they brace it wholeheartedly, then yeah, sure, maybe my sympathy's there. But as much as I said the story is amazing and the world building is incredible, I'm invested, I don't get invested in characters on an emotional level like that anymore. It's very hard for me. Maybe because I read too much and I watch too much of this shit, but to me, since it's such a common story, per se, of resurrecting your loved one and then shit gets fucked, my emotions shut off to it. That's just me. That's a personal perspective. And to me, it's not that I don't think it's a great story. It is a great story. It's just nothing significantly new to me, in a sense. So,
and they do bring it up in the end of season 1, like, how can we, like, take basically the dragon parts out of Fallon to, like, how can we, like, they're so bonded together now as she was resurrected, because you need a lot of meat and calories in order to resurrect someone from literally just bones that they didn't have any meat or like any. So they're trying to figure out how they can, if they can save Fallon in terms of taking away her dragon parts, if they can even do that, or else, like, Laios realizes they'll have to make a tough decision. And they didn't know beforehand when Marcel brought up that she knows black magic.
Yeah.
Basically that they didn't know that the red dragon was, like, tied to the mad mage.
Well,
they didn't know why. They didn't know a lot of the extra details about the mad mage nativity. And the dragon.
Yeah, it was all nativity. It's their first time being dungeon divers, right?
No, they have been doing this for years, but they've never encountered the mad mage before. Like, they've never.
So this is a new circumstance and a situation.
Yeah, this is a new circumstance and situation. So they're like, well, now we're roped into this bigger plot with the mad mage, and the mad mage is crazy. He's mad. He has his own shit going on, trying to hold on to a kingdom that is no longer, basically, thanks to him. So they got pulled into this whole giant plot, which will be explored in season 2, literally right after season 1 ended. Season 2's basically teaser trailer already appeared on YouTube. Woo! I watched it. And it's not anything big, but it definitely shows you that, hey, Mad Mage is going to be a big part of season 2.
I like the subtle hints of him towards kind of the endish.
Yeah. And I really want to learn more about Thistle, who is the given name for the Mad Mage, and his fucked up past.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone has a story. And I can say that I appreciate what the creator has done for the whole story thing of resurrecting, she's a dragon, woe is me, is that she's showcasing that these characters, this is a new experience for them. They're learning, they have some type of subconscious. So I will appreciate that on a more grander scale than I usually do, because sometimes that is usually left out. Is there remorse? Is there a reflection on your actions? And what was a really nice touch is when they encounter Shuro's group when they're fighting Marcel's transformed self, is everyone's mad at Marcel, like, you practice black magic, but they didn't just say because it's black magic. They're like, do you even know what it fucking means? Do you even know what it does? Do you understand the consequences of what you have fucking done to Phelan? And that was, I remember Keely, that whole conversation, and how Shuro gets mad at Laios, you know, like, I never thought of you as a friend. And Laios like, I thought we were friends. And then it makes Laios think, like, oh, it kind of makes them pull their heads out of their asses and think. And that was a huge appreciation for me, because it wasn't like, okay, we did this thing, now let's just go fix it. It's like, okay, now they're seeing the gravity of their actions, like, of the fucking conflict that they have created.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that was a good part of the story that I appreciate.
Oh, the whole fight was crazy. Fallon's just like killing everybody. And I was like, I fucking hate Shuro because he gets in the way of Marcel and Fallon in my head canon.
I don't care. I'm like, the romance thing to me, I'm like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. But
Fallon's just killing all his party. I'm like, yeah.
But then you see Laios and like Marcel are like, what? This isn't Fallon. Like, what the fuck? And I'm like, this is the consequences of your actions. What the fuck do you think was gonna happen?
Oh yeah, now she's under the control of the Mad Mage thanks to the
like,
dragon part she was revived with.
Did they think they were just gonna bake a fucking dozen cookies and it was gonna be great? No, there is a lot more to what they fucking did. And they showcased like their reactions to what Fallon was doing. They were like, oh, fuck. And I was like, yeah, fuck. You know?
And it's like, good thing resurrection is a thing. It's only a thing in the dungeon, like, which I love. That's like such a high fantasy thing. It's only in the dungeon, but not above ground.
And you got to see the two different types of resurrection. When they resurrected Shuro's group, none of them were fucked because they didn't use dark magic. And then you saw Marcel.
No, they had their whole bodies and flesh intact.
Yeah, so it's like there's more depth to these spells. Like Marcel, you can see that she's a novice, and a lot of the things she does, like you said, she's not good at healing because she bum rushes the fuck out of it.
I like. Go ahead.
No, there's a lot more depth into how the magic is its intended use. There's a lot more to it. It's not just like, I'm gonna say these fancy words and voila. Like, there's a lot more depth to it, and you know, it does start clicking for Marcel. Whether or not it fully clicks with her, I don't fucking know. In my eyes, I hope she has to be the one that ends Phelan, because she brought her back and she's the one who fucked it up. So I just want her to face her consequences.
I hope they get married.
I don't. I hope Phelan
so cute.
I hope Phelan dies. Like, she's like, she's like, put me out of my misery. I appreciate your guys' kindness, but you know, there's like no hope of saving, like bringing Phelan back, and they have to make the sacrifice of losing her again. I hope that happens. God. I do.
I agree with you in that I don't think Fallon would want to be resurrected. She is that self-sacrificial person that I don't think she would want them to go through the trouble. But if Laios was eaten by the dragon at the beginning of episode 1 instead of her, I 100% think she would go back down there immediately and try to find him, just the same as he did.
Yeah, she'd probably do a better job than Marcel. Let's be real.
Well, that's basically like during their whole trip down, they're like, oh man, Phelan would have a solution for this easy. Like, a lot of times they say that.
She's not impulsive. She's not rash. And honestly, I think if Laios died, I don't think she would resurrect him. Like, she would try, but if she saw the state that he was in, she'd be like, no, it's not right. She would be like, this isn't right.
Hmm,
Like if he was
I
just a
don't
pile
know.
of bones and guts, bro, homie's gone.
I honestly don't know. I don't know what I would if what she would do then. Um, but it's interesting you said that like you're not really into like the character driven animes now because you watch so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is definitely me. I love character driven stuff. And I love the found like I've said before, love the found family trope. And even though these characters are like Laios and Fallon have been dungeon hunting, dungeon exploring for years, and uh, like and Chilchuck is a whole guild leader, unionizer,
Mm-hmm.
and then Senshi has been living in the dungeon for many years. They're not like unseasoned adventurers,
Yeah.
but they're all like they don't really know each other except Marcel and Fallon are from school friends, and that's how she knows Laios when they come to adventure together. But a lot of them aren't like friends. They don't have like French like big like friendships or familial bonds except for Fallon and Laios. And over time, of course, I love the friends that come together and
I mean,
they
it's
become a
great.
family.
I mean, I like the family building. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love Demon Slayer when Tanjiro meets, the other guys. I like Jujutsu Kaisen. And I mean, I watch other animes and the big ones. I like when things come together, but I am also like, and this is just a personal aspect of me. I'm I'm close to who I choose to be close with, but I'm also very, I think I don't know if rational is the biggest word, but if something traumatic was to happen to them, depending on the circumstances and the situation, like would I want them to relive that or to come back? So that's the only thing I have to say. But no, I mean, it's like in Baldur's Gate where you guys start off as strangers and then you guys learn about each other's stories and you help and you build and then you come in and you're fucking heroes. Like I like that. I like that those personal developments as long as and connection, like those bonds that you make with people. I just feel bad choices were made, and I'm glad that the creator has just she's addressed that, like, yes, they made these and now they're thinking about it. And so I'm interested, like we were discussing, learning about the mad evil mage, like what's his background. I hope he's not stereotypical. I hope he's very unique in his own right.
No, I think I have a semblance of I don't know everything that's going to happen in season 2, but I have some semblances of details, and I would say it's very interesting. I wouldn't say it's stereotypical in my opinion, but
No, that's fair.
uh,
That's fair. I'm
I'm
open to it.
so
I'm open
excited.
to it.
And apparently, the manga was more niche in the West because the Ryoko Kui didn't want an anime produced until the manga was completely finished, and it took freaking 9 years to finish the manga. So this has been very popular in Japan for a long time. And now that season 1 of the anime has finished, they already have season 2 greenlit, obviously, because we got the teaser trailer for season 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just like frothing at the mouth for more. And also, I do want to add before I forget, because I'm already like getting tipsy off of one beer because I am like just talking so much that this is probably the only anime that has made me hysterically laugh out loud and not just like, oh, it's funny for an anime. This is like the only anime that has me and my roommate like our sides are aching, rolling on the floor. We can't stop laughing. And the comedy
It's
is just
good.
so good.
The episode where they transform and like Senchi's like this lustrous elf,
Yes.
and then Laios turns
He goes
tiny.
yeah, he turns into a dwarf. He turns
Yeah.
into a dwarf. And I love because you can see the different characteristics like for tall men, even though obviously tall. They're not that strong. They notify. Also, dwarves are able to withstand like higher temperatures,
Mm-hmm.
and they have more energy and strength, obviously. Um, and I guess elves just look pretty
Mm-hmm.
and live
People.
a long time.
Yep. I love that. That made me chuckle.
Also, I want to touch on the voice cast. So the voice actors are kind of like, I get, look, they're interesting backgrounds, I would say. I don't know if I would put them all as heavy hitters. I think that's maybe for some
Did you
people
watch
that's
it in
debatable.
Japanese or English though?
English, hell yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going over the English cast. I'm sorry. I know. Did you watch it in Japanese?
Of course, I don't watch anime in English yet for any reason.
Okay. I just like to watch without subtitles. If it's like a good dub. And this I think this is a very good English dub. But Laios is voiced by Damien Haas, who some people I did not know. Some people have pointed out to me is from Smosh. It's like, how the fuck did that happen?
What?
I don't know. I'm sure he's done interviews where he explains how he became Laios's voice actor, but I have not watched those. But
Interesting.
he does a fabulous job. He does so good as Laios. I 100% love I love everyone who is in the main cast. Wouldn't choose anyone else. And for Marcel, she is voiced by Emily Rudd, who you might know as Nami in the live action One Piece.
Ew.
And what? Okay,
That's another
what's your
hot take.
What's your hot take?
I don't like the girl who plays Nami, and I don't like Nami, and I don't like One Piece. There we go.
Well, I mean, if you more so talking about Emily Rudd here, I like her portrayal as Marcel. I love her
Mm-hmm.
voice in Delicious in Dungeon. I have not watched the live action One Piece yet, but I intend to. Um, Chilchuck is voiced by Casey Mongillo. I'm sorry, I'm going to mispronounce the last name. Casey Mongillo or Mongolo, who is also the voice actor for Shinji Ikari and Evangelion,
Mm.
and does a fantastic job with Chilchuck, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And Senshi, who is voiced by Sung Wan Cho, who is the big MVP in my opinion. I love Sung Wan Cho in everything he does, and he is just the best Senshi. You just want to give him a big bear hug. His performance as both the regular dwarf Senshi and also the elf version. He does so good with the elf version of Senshi too. He has amazing range. But I couldn't tell a bad thing about the English voice acting cast for the main
It
characters.
sounds like it was well done. I I listened to it in Japanese, and it was spectacular. Very, very well done. I don't know their
Like
names.
like Damien Haas, he practiced his dog barking for Lyos because he was expecting to do the dog barks for Lyos has a lot of comparisons to a dog, and I love how he has also studied canine anatomy as
Oh.
well. Like, because when they're going, they're sorting through the bones of Fallon, and there's wargs also in the digestive system of the red dragon. He's like, I will sort through the warg bones because I know canine anatomy, and we can get those bones out of here so that we can focus on Fallon's bones.
Mm-hmm.
I love that little detail of his character, but I wish like they weren't going to use his dog barks, unfortunately, for the takes on when he has to bark. Those were the times my roommate and I were raffle on the floor thing.
It was good. You know,
So good.
I appreciate that they're picking good English dub. Because I don't like English dub just because most of the time they don't encapsulate the emotion like Japanese
Mhm.
can do. So for me, but I usually watch shows that are kind of meant for their original language. So for me, most anime is in Japanese. Chinese shows are in Chinese, Japanese, Korean, and Korean. But there's some points where I think in at least adult animation and anime where English dub can be well done. So
Oh, like when I'm going to make you watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, we're going to watch in the English dub. I'm going to
oh
hold a
no,
gun to your head
oh
and we're going to watch the
no,
English dub. I'm swear to
oh
God.
no, that's gonna be pain. It's gonna be pain. I'll do it. Maybe I'll do
Yay!
it for a couple episodes, not the whole thing.
No! You can't just turn it around like that!
But I can. We'll see. If it's good,
Ugh.
then I will sit through it. If it's, well, but I'll be the judge of that. No, I follow a lot of Crunchyroll and like a lot of anime stuff, and I've been seeing a lot of English dub voice actors winning awards, and so I'll check them out, and I'm like, okay, that's not that bad. That's pretty decent. I did try to watch Demon Slayer in English, and that was just horrendous. Even though the voice actors did a good job, it's just, to me, if it's in a Japanese setting, why are you going to listen to it in Japanese? But here we are. If you don't like reading, fully support that as well. But I think that's interesting selection of actors, voice actors for the English stuff. That's very unique. A lot better than Blue-Eyed Samurai, but that's another fucking conversation for another day. The voice acting I felt in Blue-Eyed Samurai was lackluster. It's great adult animation, phenomenal story, great everything, but the voice acting was, anyways. And that's
Another one I have to watch.
Yeah, you need to watch that, and then we could talk about it. That one's gonna be filled with hot takes. But yeah, no, Delicious Dungeon was a good slice of life, good story, good world building, good around everything. I enjoyed it.
Yes, if you like D&D or zoology, ecology, because they go into like the ecology, the balance of dungeon and dungeon monsters, and how it because it's so good at world building, it seems so natural and lifelike. Like it could just come to our world and it could just fit in so well.
It was just easy to get immersed in. It was not hard. I mean, sure, it was a little slow at the beginning, but they have to set the tone and the story. But it was just easy to get into. I felt, yeah, like you said, it was very natural. And I think anyone can watch it. Anyone. Because it has a little bit of everything. It has sadness, anger, happy, food, like everything, zoology, all of that. So I recommend it highly to anybody. If you want just something short to watch, easy to get into, fun, watch Delicious Dungeon on Netflix.
I love it. I highly recommend it, and I can't wait for season 2.
I'm looking forward to season 2 for sure.
Yay!
I'll watch it. I'll continue it as long as they don't fuck up, which I doubt. If she put 9 years worth into her writing and stuff, I will definitely invest.
No, it's not going to be one of those things where the mangaka is still doing the manga and the anime is like already ahead of the manga. She wanted to specifically have the anime after the manga was done, so they have the whole story to work with.
Good. And I hope they don't deviate from it. Netflix is notorious for fucking up good shit. Like
I don't think. I have confidence. I don't think they will. Also, the studio that created Delicious in Dungeon is Studio Trigger, who you might know from Kill la Kill, Little Witch Academia, as well as Darling in the Franxx. And you can see they're also going to be making the new Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt in 2025, which I'm super excited for. But their animation has been Chef's Kiss.
They're
also,
good animation
if you listen
studio.
to your Trigger.
Good animation.
Top tier.
I don't know about Kill la Kill, but that's a different story.
I've never watched it, so I don't have an opinion on it.
Don't watch it.
Okay.
It's a terrible story.
Oh, so many hot takes today. We gotta come up with a whole episode on hot takes.
It's made for men. It's made for men. It's just a lot of booba. And it's booba,
I do know that.
and a lot of booba that I'm pretty sure those girls are underage in the story. So to me, it's just like, I can't do this. This is not right. But that, again, personal. I like booba. Don't get me wrong, man. I will play booba games and I will watch booba stuff. But that was. Anyways, that's a whole. If you want to watch it, Tabby, by all means. I'm not a Kill la Kill fan. Not a fan of it. Yeah, kill. But Trigger Studios, I liked Little Witch Academia, and I like that one. That one was cute. I don't know. Yeah. I've heard of the other ones. I've never watched them. But cool. Is there anything else you want to drop your fucking knowledge on for Delicious Dungeon, Tabby?
No, I think that's it. Oh, but I did. Oh my god, I wanted to go back and tell people that it was like, oh my god, it was when I could never sleep because I had my stupid old mattress, and I was reading the Dungeon Meshi manga one night. Mm-hmm. Like, that was like the first night I took it up.
Do you read these online or do you own the books?
I read them online, but I want to own the whole Dungeon Meshi manga series. Because where did I write that? No, it was after I showed you. Oh, yes. Okay. So I like with no sleep, and I was probably high as well or something. I was reading the manga and I messaged you what cocktails I think a character I thought would be in terms of a cocktail. So I said Marcel would be a corpse reviver, specifically just for the drink name alone. And I picture Chill Chuck with a Long Island iced tea because he loves to drink, as a man of almost 29 with 3 daughters. And also, he just loves to drink. He's like, as soon as the red dragon, they're like, don't drink until we've vanquish the red dragon. And after the red dragon, he's seen with the wine bottle. I was like, lovely detail. I love it. And Laios, I think, would be a Moscow Mule or a Pin's Cup, something light and easy to drink. I feel like he wouldn't like alcohol a lot. And Itazumi would probably be a White Russian because it's cream-based and also pretty easy to drink.
You didn't pick one for Marcel and Sanji?
No, I picked one for Marcel. I didn't pick one for Senshi. Senshi would probably be like pretty... He would want something with nutrients. Maybe he would want a Bloody Mary.
That would make sense.
It would make sense.
And then Marcel would be what?
No, a corpse reviver, I said.
Oh, yeah, corpse reviver. Yeah, that would make sense. Or she would drink like a cosmopolitan.
Yeah, something bougie. Yeah, something bougie or a corpse reviver.
Yeah, no, that's spot on. Amazing. Yay. So, guys, if you haven't checked out Delicious Dungeon, first season is out fully on Netflix or however you want to watch it. I'm not gonna judge you on that.
Support the show. Watch it on Netflix.
But manga, read it. It is online, or buy it, whichever is in your realm of financial feasibility. But we hope you enjoyed this conversation, and I guess Tabby and I will definitely talk about making a hot takes episode.
I'm all for it.
But thank you guys for hanging out this episode, getting nerdy with us. Remember to pour yourself a drink, and don't resurrect anybody without thinking of the consequences.
Oh, damn it. Cheers. My Sunday morning plans. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another tipsy and geeky adventure with Tipsy Geeks Unite. We hope you had as much fun as we did.
Absolutely. And remember, you can catch our episodes not only on your favorite podcast platforms, but also on YouTube. That's right. We're now streaming our episodes on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest episodes.
Make sure to join us bi-weekly. A new episode drops every other week in our quest, promising a continuous dose of excitement and nerdiness just for you.
For an extra dose of geekiness, check out the show notes for links to our individual Twitch channels. You can catch us individually streaming a variety of video games, and we'd love to have you join us.
Thanks for geeking out with us, and until next time, stay tipsy and keep on geeking.
Keep your dice rolling high and your critical hits frequent. Until our next quest, my gaming comrades, cheers.